Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to What's Occurring, Part 3. We've got on the programme today Jackie, my comrade in arms, that as everybody on LinkedIn actually knows, Jackie is the dancing queen for Friday fun and everything that goes. And just to give you a heads up, over the next couple of weeks, guys, there's going to be an opportunity to see Jackie dancing and me playing guitar. I'm going to be in Wales and Jackie's going to be in Malvern, and we're going to invite other people into the equation as well, which we'll probably post as the fun part. Well, I was going to say that every part of this is quite fun.
Yeah,
Jack,
absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Slight change of plan today. We've got a special guest, and if you could probably see the young lad with the fantastic background.
Young lad.
Much better than my vineyards of the world. We've got Rob Moon, who is the LinkedIn sensation at the minute. What we're going to basically do, Jackie and I are going to introduce Rob, and Rob's going to give a little bit of background to some of the things that Rob does on a daily basis, some of Rob's specialty, and a little bit of emulate what Jackie and I have already been doing over the last 2 weeks, which is laughing quite a lot, Jack, talking gibberish, recording it, and then getting people's opinions. So when we get, again, same format, everybody.
I'm confusing everybody with our Welshisms, which I'm sure nothing to do with.
Welshisms, absolutely, yeah. I won't lie to you. Oh, God. We're going to get your opinions and your comments. These will be available as normal, guys, on YouTube, in both Jackie, Info Turner Corner, Jackie's YouTube channel and website, as well as on WJHC Limited, WJHC.com rather. Rob has a website that is under construction, guys, so if you see this before the weekend, don't fear that the website is under construction. So from Monday, Rob, I think you mentioned you've got some logos and stuff getting.
Yeah, there'll be a holding page there from Monday at the latest, I would have thought. But
perfect time.
It'll be there on LinkedIn.
Yeah, perfect time at the moment to get everything sort of revamped. And as a post I put on LinkedIn this morning just to emphasise that. So, okay, Rob. Cool. Tell us a bit about yourself, lad. Over to you.
Okay, well, born and bred Brummie. So, I imagine lots of people watching this or listening to this will feel a need for a translator with two Welsh people and a Brummie, you know.
There's a joke there.
No, it's a family show. So, I'm sure that it'll all end well and people will understand our lingo. But my background, I spent 21 years at Yale in sales. So I did 8 or 9 years in telesales and then another 12 or 13 years in L&D, training telesales, field sales, customer service, managers, leaders, etc. I escaped from the Yellow Book about 6 years ago and went freelance. And since then, I've been filling my time going and seeing lovely clients up and down the country, delivering face-to-face workshops, some virtual workshops, and also doing some associate work for a number of training providers. So, that's a little bit about me.
Fantastic, Rob. So what would you like to talk about today and share with our listeners?
Let me tell you where I got this idea from. Being a football fan during lockdown has been murder, to be honest. No live games going on. It's like, watching football back from the rugby fans are cheering like Billy O.
Not a football fan. I'm rejoicing. The TV is free.
But yeah. So there's only so much 1972 football catch-up that any man can watch.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
So I've been tuning into these podcasts that are being shown on the BBC on a Saturday night, the Match of the Day stuff, where Gary Lineker, Alan Shearer, Ian Wright are talking about top 10s, top 10 goalkeepers, top 10 goals, goal scorers, managers, etc. And every week there's a different topic. So I thought, let's talk about the top 10 attributes and behaviours that make up a great salesperson.
Okay.
Now, obviously, there's more than 10. So some people may be shocked, nay, stunned about some of the stuff that I've left out of my top 10. But that's what it's all about. It's opinion, it's debate. I'm
Yeah.
not saying this is going
good,
to
actually.
be written in.
Even from a non-footballing fan, it's quite funny.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. About a week ago, though, I did pop a post on LinkedIn asking people to send me their top 3, just to help me compile this list, just to make sure I've left nothing crucial out and all that sort of thing. I wish I hadn't. That post's been viewed about 9,000 times. I've had about 115 different top 3s sent through to me. So I'm more confused now than ever.
I bet you are.
Right up till 10 minutes before we're doing this, I'm putting something else back in my top 10 that's been in and out like the okie dokie all week. You know, should that be in? Should that be out? But, you know, at the end of the day, I've settled for my top 10, and feel free to have your own opinion.
I'm sure we will. What do you think, Wayne?
Comfortable. I mean, we're gonna have to break this. I mean, obviously, for everybody who's watching this, we've already had a conversation about this. Even though there is no script, it is just what you see is what you get. Yeah. But we are gonna need to break this into 2 parts, because just by obviously having a conversation with Rob about the size of the list, that fact there's only 10 in there, but it's not a huge list. But we want to be able to expand on the narrative as well. So there is going to be a 2-part to this. So, but yeah, let's get into this, because I'm intrigued.
Okay. Be gentle with me. Don't slate this list too much, please. Okay, so in at number 10, we have a new entry of mindset. Okay, so this list is filled with technical skill, soft skills, etc. So in at number 10, I've put mindset, because for me, some of the best salespeople I've come across in the last 30 years have had this, I don't know, this mental toughness or something about them. But underneath all of that, there's this thing that says, do you know what? I love my job. They get a buzz out of getting out of bed every morning, no matter what the month, no matter what the weather, hitting the road or going into a telesales office and making $150 a day, speaking to those customers, and they get such a buzz from it. And you can tell the genuine, authentic passion that's there with these people. So mindset had to be in there somewhere. Yeah.
So did we all 3 of us jump out of bed this morning?
Do you know what? I wouldn't say
never jump out of bed. I might give myself some injury.
I wouldn't jump
out of bed.
Hip.
Yeah.
But I think, it's. I tell you what happens. My wife does jump out of bed. Say if we arrange to go to if Jane comes up to.
I'm wondering where this is going.
Oh yeah.
I'm scared now.
If we go to London, and it's a shopping, but it's something that can adrenalise you a little bit. I'm ex-weightlifter, so over the years I want to get to the gym and I can't wait to. And I recently put a gym in my garage. I know I posted that. And I think from that mental health perspective, there is some, I don't know, it creates that endorphin. Yeah. And I think the thrill of and we get it from success within our businesses. When we start a new client, when we've written a new piece of work, I know Jack, you and I have gone up ping sort of things off, design off each other for just like emotional intelligence as an example, for coaching skills and things. So I'm with you on that. Yeah. And I think if we have a mindset, I don't think anything can function. So you have to be in that frame.
Funny enough, just picking up on what you said there, Win. When I moved out of kind of doing the selling into doing the training, that was the one thing I pondered about, because I was in telesales a lot, and that thrill, if you like, of getting a sale, walking up to the board in the office, putting your sale up. You know, that's like hitting the back of the net sort of thing. And I thought, if I become a trainer, will I still get that?
Still get it, yeah.
And I do. Every single time I deliver a workshop or do one-to-one coaching, or I'm out on the road with somebody and I see a penny drop and they bring to life the coaching they've had, it's like, boom, that's like...
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think it's vital. And, I've been been in L&D for 25 years. And people ask me why, and simple answer, because I love it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
from the minute
Absolutely.
I delivered my very first training course, I can still remember it.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
clicked, and I just knew that's what I was meant
Yeah.
to do, and I didn't want to do
Yeah.
anything else. And I think
Absolutely.
we're not all lucky
Absolutely.
enough to be able to do that. I appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I remember the first chat we had, Jack, that emotional intelligence one we did on What's Occurring One. And I remember one of the first things we spoke about was when I did my teaching prac 20 odd years ago, when I did what was the FETC, Further Education Teaching Certificate. I've enhanced a little bit since then, but the first time I stood in front of a class as a teaching assignment, I worked in a corporate banking environment for 25 years. But when I decided to undertake this, my mind, it felt at home. I walked straight into a classroom and I just felt, wow. And the moment you get that engagement, and what you're doing now, Rob, is exactly what I feed off. Is that
absolutely.
mindset, is that engagement, is that, and
Yeah.
it is emotional intelligence. When you're reading the body language, you got the smile,
Absolutely.
and it just, and
Can't
then
beat it.
big ticket. You can't.
Can't be.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
So we're all in agreement with number 10 so far.
Brilliant. So,
Rob.
so far, so good.
Okay, what's number 9?
I don't think the other 9 are going to go that well, to be honest. So at number 9, we've got the fact that great salespeople are very well planned and organised. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so if they're in telesales, for example, they break their day up into little segments, and they know what kind of customers to ring at the right time, and they're very well planned and organised in that way. If they're in field sales, they've planned their week. They know what postcodes they're going to, so they've got all their routes sorted.
Mm-hmm.
And it's even down to things like in a lot of organisations that these salespeople are given a target for a whole quarter.
Yeah.
And what the great ones do is they plan and organise how they're going to achieve that target, or what percentage overrun they're going to achieve that quarter. And they break their target down into bite-sized chunks, and they analyse it at the end of each week. Am I on track? Am I on track? What do I need to do next week to keep myself there? And they're planning ahead. They're thinking ahead. They're really well organised.
And that, I think, links very much into the mindset, breaking it down into manageable, achievable, that you can do, rather than looking at the whole sort of quarter and thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to achieve that?
Yeah, because you've got this massive number. Yeah, that massive number is like so out there and unachievable, and it's 3 months away. So you think, I've got plenty of time, and before you know it, you're a month into the quarter, you're a third of the way through, and you've only done 20% of your target, and you're thinking,
Yeah, absolutely. So another good one. I think we're in agreement with.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. You're going well so far, but
so far so good. So far
so much better than the ones we had last week, guys.
Oh yeah, so much better than last week. So much better than last
week.
Bruce Forsyth. For those of you that don't know Bruce Forsyth,
I keep forgetting. Yeah, that's an age thing, not a Welshism.
Okay, number 8 is another soft skill, and this is listening.
You what?
I knew. I just knew. There's always one.
And it's always the thing is, there's always one. It's always win. Yeah. So listening. I talk about listening skills on every single workshop I do. I can't help it. I just cannot help it. And I think for many years, lots of us, including lots of salespeople, have been almost brainwashed about active listening. Yeah, if you actively listen and all that kind of thing. Well, I think we need to take that just one step further and call the highest level of listening with empathy. So that we don't just hear the facts and the information so that we, can have a conversation, but we hear the emotion behind those facts and everything. Yeah, because let's face it, every single time we make a purchase, the emotional side of our brain is in charge.
Yeah.
So as a salesperson, if I can engage with you emotionally, I'll have you on my side. Yeah. So if I listen with empathy, I can then use empathy really well.
I absolutely agree.
I'm with you on that, and I think just to bring a Stephen Coveyism in, because what Jackie and I have a tendency to do on some of these is to bring in theorists and just some further reading for the listeners as well, which I think is essential.
Yeah, really good.
Touch on what we move on and be able to progress it. And I think Stephen Covey talks about his 5 levels of listening and his 7 habits of highly effective people.
Yeah.
And when you bring listening in, I think one of the biggest lessons that I've ever learned is I remember reading Covey's 7 Habits back in the 90s. Can't remember when, but it was an awful long time ago. I hear, well, that's how long ago it was. And what Covey said was, do you listen to hear or do you listen to respond?
Yeah.
And I think the effectiveness in people listening to hear with and to bring that level 1 in, active listening is good, but that empathic listening, level 1, when you listen to respond, you're missing something, and sometimes you're even confusing it with being participative in the conversation in terms of are you actually listening, or are you just waiting for them to say what they got to say? I don't care what they got to say, and then you're going to come back with something. So
couldn't agree more.
I'm with you on that. I think that's good. Tick in the box.
Good. I've come across many salespeople that just don't listen well enough, and just the look on their face in a meeting or whether it's a telesales call, you can just tell that they're just thinking about their next question. And no matter.
Sorry, I just have to share a story with you that's just popped into my head.
Go.
Wins used to mind, this happening. And I'm not going to name a name, but I was at an event with a speaker who was talking about, about being present in the room.
Yeah.
And, and I just had to test whether this was just, somebody telling us what to do, but not actually living by that sort of standard themselves. So I went over in the break to talk to this speaker, and the entire time he was looking over my shoulder at somebody else in the room, and after about a minute or so, I said, "Oh, I've just got to go and speak to so and so."
I was sitting next to you in this room.
You
it
were.
Was in Cowbridge. Remember this one, Jack? Yeah, you just. Oh God, I've forgotten all about that. Oh yeah.
Sorry, I know I've interrupted you there.
No, that's fine. Great example though. Perfectly great example, because I've seen this glaze come over salespeople's faces halfway through meetings, thinking, I don't know what to ask next, and you can see that dawning on their face. And I think, well, just listen to your customer and just continue the conversation on.
Yeah, and be focused on that customer, not on anything else that may be going on around you.
Absolutely. Good. Okay, so we're at 7 already, aren't we?
We are. I think we'll do one more, and then shall we have a break and split this then into another session?
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that.
If they haven't got the time to listen to it all in one go, they can listen to part 1, and then we'll do part 2.
Great.
Smashing.
Yeah,
fantastic. Smashing. At number 7, then, we have got personal development. Some of the best salespeople I come across are very concerned about their own development, whether they're a top performer or just hitting their targets just about, or underperform. No matter where you are, these people are the ones that actually put their hand up and ask for coaching. They ask the questions, give me some feedback. Not just how am I doing? An average salesperson may ask their boss, how am I doing? You doing okay? Great, thank you. A great salesperson will say, how am I doing? You doing okay? Okay. How can I do better?
Yeah.
They'll come back with that supplement question, whether they're top of the tree or bottom of the heap. Yeah, they'll always be asking for feedback. And the other thing that I've sort of plugged into this, if you like, is, and it is related, these great salespeople, they actually practice.
Yeah, they do.
They practice their skill. I was with a young lady, I'm going back a number of years. I spent about 2 hours with her, this lovely lady in telesales, and I've given lots of hints and tips, and we've done a workshop and everything. And she says, I mentioned something to her, and she went, I love that, Rob. I'm going to practice that on my customers. And that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Just hang on a minute. You're going to practice on your customer. Just think that through for a second. How many customers have you got to use then to get that right?
Yeah.
However many that is, that's how many potential lost opportunities. If you need to practice that, practice with me, your coach, practice with your manager, practice with your friend across the office. If you're in field sales, give someone a ring and practice with them, practice with your peers. Go home and practice with your wife, husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, grandmother, cat, anybody.
Yeah.
Because they'll act like a normal customer. as well. Yeah, but practice. And I said to this young lady, I says, if you bought a ticket for a West End show tonight and you got all dolled up and went out, would you expect to turn up at a rehearsal where the director keeps saying, oh, hang on, stop there, that was wrong. Oh, sorry, audience, bear with us a minute. Just got to get this bit right. You wouldn't expect to turn up at a rehearsal.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So why would we expect a customer to experience us practicing?
I think it's a really important point, and in terms of personal development, with all of us being trainers, we're never going to disagree on that one. Right? I'm guessing that we've all worked with lots of people that have been doing a job for a long time, see themselves as experts, and therefore in their mindset they don't need coaching, they don't need to improve, they know it all already. And you know, if you're a top sports person, you do not sack your coach the minute you achieve a gold medal or win a tournament, you know. But in the business world, that is often a mentality that people feel that because they've got X amount of years of experience and knowledge, they don't need to develop and have any more coaching support. So I couldn't agree with you more. I think that is a crucial one.
When you think about top athletes, how much time do they actually spend practicing or training, being coached, compared to actually performing?
And I gave you an example earlier of, you know, being a musician, to take the sports analogy out of the equation. I mean, I'm going back to 1980, 81, 82. Ozzy Osbourne, obviously, you from Birmingham, he left Black Sabbath and formed and went on his own. He got what was commonly referred to as the wonder boy of the world at the time, a guitarist called Randy Rhoads. Randy Rhoads had just won 2 years in a trot, the best guitarist, most breakthrough artist, and all of these things, and a classical guitarist. Listen, just his music, sublime. And Randy was asked and interviewed once, and he ended up he'd been interviewed by another guitarist who was like in awe of him, and Randy turned it on its head, because although Randy was up there and deemed to be the best guitarist in the world, he wanted to know what the other person was doing to get those small edges and think like, well, maybe we'll use that. I like that. Yeah. And I think that's the mentality.
Yeah, just those little incremental gains.
Completely marginal gains is on everything. And I think as companies, as profiles, we talk about some businesses, they start to think about making fundamental changes. And I know some of the businesses that some of my clients do in this lockdown have all come to me and said, oh my God, we've got to revamp everything. I said, no, you haven't. But what you have to be mindful of is what can you adapt and what can you adopt? You keep the same model, you aspire to your vision, mission, and your goal. You set those objectives in there, but you still have that mentality going into it. Yeah, but what you have to do is that when you've done it, you stick to it. And if you don't, and if it doesn't work, then okay, understand what hasn't worked and try to work around it. Try to figure out what things that you can iron out, what things that you can develop. What are the things that did go wrong and put those right. But all too often, we just go gung ho with it.
And that applies to us. We've all been doing what we've been doing for a long time. But the second we even think, just for that second, that we're so brilliant at what we do and so perfect at what we do, is that moment where our customers do not get a great service, because as soon as that complacency kicks in and we think that's it, we're great. And I think there aren't that many jobs where you constantly get feedback other than in the world of L&D. But I want it. I do not want people to put what they think I want to read on a form. Every single bit of feedback is important, because we've got that mentality that if something's not, can be improved.
Yeah, I agree.
I want to improve it.
And if you're going to give me feedback on a score, and again, bring on what you said, Rob, in terms, and I know we're conscious of time, so I'll leave Jack. You can last point for me. This will be then we can wrap up for you guys. But I think once we've had that feedback, we've been willing to act on it. If you ask for it, and if you're going to give criticism, make sure or criticize. Probably, I don't know if that's the right word, but if you're going to give feedback, and if there's something on a negative, that you can back it up. Why? If it's positive. But don't tell me that this is a 1 to 0 being worse, 10 being top. If you're going to give someone a 5 or a 4 or a 3, say why.
Yeah.
If you're going to give someone a 7 or 8 or a 9, say why. It was great, but I don't think anybody deserves to get a 10 out of 10. I mean, you know, we get lots and lots of feedback sometimes that is too good to be true, but I'd rather have someone give me feedback on what they thought.
My husband says to me all the time, and he's my biggest supporter, and he says, if I was on your training course, you would never get a 10 out of 10 probably. Never gives it.
And one major problem with everything we're talking about here is people are afraid of feedback in general. And a lot of managers and coaches aren't that great at giving it.
No, I agree.
So it does come across.
They've been training it, Rob. They've never been training it. I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's why then people are afraid of receiving it because it's not delivered in the right way. Understandable. Yeah. I think a lot of really great points that we've raised. We've got plenty more of your tips to run through, Rob. So if we sort of break it here for our listeners, and then we'll come back and we'll record the part
the top 6.
Part 2 then
absolutely
next week, guys. So thank you for today. Thank you for listening.
No, thank you for having me.
Have a great weekend, Rob. Thanks for the wallpaper.
Will do.
And I should say, cheers to everybody. As I've been sipping this, and anybody watches might be thinking, she on the wine?
Oh, an empty cup of coffee.
I'll finish my brew as well.
But as Wyn said he was going to have a glass of wine, I thought I'd join him with my glass of water.
Fair play.
Anyway, have a great weekend, both.
Thanks for hosting. These What's Occurring are fabulous. They're knockout. I was actually on a networking event this morning. I've told people about this who are in Toronto,
fantastic.
Melbourne, America, Dubai. So
let's get it out there. Let's go global.
Absolutely.
Have a great weekend, both.
You too. Take care. Cheerio.
Bye.